Welcome to the world of science fiction Neon's Alien. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a new story from Neon's Alien universe. The rain didn't fall like water. On the edge of old Earth's desert zones, it hissed like acid as it touched the rusted rooftops and broken metal streets. Samuel Grant, a 67-year-old man with a beard the color of smoke and eyes full of old memories, sat alone inside a small shack made from starship parts. The storm outside was loud, but inside it was quiet, just like his life. His hands, still strong but stiff from age, worked slowly on a piece of old tech, a solar battery he didn't need but fixed anyway. There wasn't much to do now. No family, no visitors, only silence, machines, and storms. Then, a knock. At first he thought it was just wind, but it came again. 3 slow knocks. Then nothing. Samuel stood, cautious. He picked up a small wrench, the closest thing to a weapon nearby, and walked to the door. He opened it and stared. A tall figure stood in the rain, soaked, shaking, barefoot. It was a woman, but not human. Her skin was smooth, a soft shade of violet. Her hair clung to her face, wet and silver. Strange glowing lines ran from her neck to her hands. Her eyes were large, pale blue, and full of pain. She tried to speak, then collapsed, right into his arms. Samuel caught her, shocked. What the hell? Her body was freezing cold. Her breathing was weak. She whispered something barely audible. "Please help me." He looked out at the storm, looked at her, then sighed. "Damn it, old man," he muttered to himself. "You just can't say no, can you?" He brought her inside, laid her down on his cot, covered her in his only thermal blanket. She didn't move. He checked her pulse. It was there, faint but real. Then he sat on his old stool, staring at her. An alien woman on his doorstep. Why? Hours passed. The storm outside calmed. But the questions inside Samuel's mind grew louder. Who was she? Why did she come here? And how did she find him? An old man living off the grid, far from any city or comm tower. Just before sunrise, she stirred. Her eyes opened slowly. Samuel stood beside her with a cup of warm broth. "You're awake." She blinked, her lips trembling. "Where am I?" "Old Earth, Sector 17, my junk shed," he replied. She looked at him and said something that made him stop breathing. "Samuel Grant." He froze. "You know my name?" She nodded weakly. "I was told you could fix it." "Fix what?" Her voice cracked. "The gate. The one you built." Samuel's face darkened. "That was a long time ago," he said. "I don't do that anymore." She reached for his hand. Her fingers shook. "Please. You're the only one left." He pulled his hand back. "No, you've got the wrong man." But deep inside, he already knew. She was here because she was right. Later that day, as she rested, Samuel stood outside the shack, looking at the sky. The clouds were clearing, but his mind wasn't. He hadn't heard that word, gate, in over 20 years. Not since the project was buried. Not since he walked away after what happened on Colony. Mira 4. Too many people died. Too many mistakes. He had sworn never to touch that kind of technology again. But then he looked back through the open door, at her, at the strange marks on her arms, at the desperation in her eyes. Something inside him whispered, "You don't get to hide anymore." That night, as the stars came out, the woman sat up slowly. Samuel brought her a small piece of bread and water. She took it, hands trembling. He finally asked, "What's your name?" "Vera Lynn," she said. "Of the Doran line." "Never heard of it." "You wouldn't," she said softly. "We're supposed to be extinct." Samuel sat beside her. "Why come to me?" She looked at him, not with fear, but with hope. "Because once you opened the sky, and I need you to do it again." He said nothing, just stared at his old hands, hands that had once built wonders, and destroyed them too. The sky over Sector 17 was clearing, but inside Samuel's shack, clouds still hung heavy between two people who shouldn't have ever met. Samuel stared at Vera Lynn, the strange alien woman who had collapsed at his door during the acid storm. Now she sat on his workbench, wrapped in his only clean blanket, a healing pad stuck to her arm. She looked better, but her eyes were still full of storms. "You called me by name," Samuel said finally, breaking the silence. "You knew me before. You passed out, how?" Vera looked at him calmly. "You were known to my people. You helped build the first stargates. Your name is in our memory archives." Samuel's face hardened. "I built transport systems, not weapons." Vera didn't blink. "Then why did your gates burn our skies?" That hit him like a punch. He looked away, jaw clenched. "I didn't program the bombs, I built the doors. What they pushed through them wasn't up to me." "But you knew what they were capable of," Vera replied. Her voice wasn't angry, it was tired. Tired of running. Tired of being the last. "I left it all behind," Samuel said softly. "After Mira 4, I disappeared. No one was supposed to find me. Especially not you." He turned back to her. "You said your people were extinct." Vera nodded. "We were. At least, that's what the galaxy believes. After the gate burst, near our planet, most of us were vaporized. I was a child. I survived only because I was off-world on a learning trip." She looked down at her glowing hand. "When I returned, there was only silence." Samuel exhaled deeply and sat down across from her. "I'm sorry, I really am." "I don't need your apology," Vera said. "I need your hands." Samuel frowned. "My hands?" "You designed the gate keys using manual gestures," she explained. "DNA-locked interfaces. They were never voice-activated. That's why no one else can shut down the active gate near my homeworld." She pointed to the old map screen on his wall, long dead and dusty. "Coordinates 917 Beta. The abandoned gate is opening again. And this time, they'll send something worse than weapons." Samuel rubbed his face. "You think someone reactivated it?" Vera nodded. "Yes. A private war clan from the outer systems. They plan to use it to harvest energy from my world's core. If that gate opens fully, it will split the planet in half." Samuel shook his head slowly. "I'm not who I was. My body's old, my hands aren't steady, I can't do this anymore. But your mind still works," she said softly, "and I can help you with the rest." He looked at her again. Her face was kind but sharp with determination. She didn't just want help. She believed he was the only one left who could fix this. "I don't even have tools anymore," Samuel said, almost trying to convince himself. "I sold everything. Power cores, data boards, even the fusion torch. I've already started gathering what we need," Vera replied. She stood up and pulled a small metal box from under her cloak. Inside were bits of tech, circuit nodes, a cracked interface crystal, and an old earth-coated chip. Samuel's eyes widened. "This is pre-collapse tech. How did you get this?" She smiled. "I've been following your trail for a long time. I picked up what you left behind." Samuel stared at the pieces. His fingers twitched. His brain began to whisper again like it used to when he was younger and sharp. Designs, connections, solutions. He hated it, and he missed it. At the same time. Vera placed the box on his bench. Then, looked at him with quiet strength. "I didn't come to beg, Samuel. I came to remind you who you used to be." Outside, a wind picked up, brushing dust against the side of the shack. Inside, the old man stared at the last survivor of a race destroyed by something he helped build. He looked at his hands, then slowly picked up the cracked interface crystal. It was broken, but not beyond repair, just like him. "I'll need a better work lamp," he muttered. Vera smiled. "I already fixed the power port." He blinked. "Of course you did." They both sat at the bench as the last of the day's light faded. And for the first time in many years, Samuel Grant wasn't just an old man in a broken world. He was an engineer again. The wind outside had died, but inside the shack, something else had come alive. Old tools were laid out across the dusty bench, screwdrivers, solder pens, power scalers, and tiny memory wands from another age. A cracked terminal flickered too, life casting a soft glow over the room. And there sat Samuel Grant, hunched over a broken power crystal with steady hands. Vera Lynn watched him silently from across the room. There was no music, no words, just the sound of metal clicking, wires humming, and the slow return of a man's forgotten purpose. "You still remember?" she said gently. Samuel didn't look up. "My hands do, even if my brain had doubts." He held up a delicate device, once a gate control beacon, now remade from scrap and faith. "Shouldn't work," he muttered. "But it will." Vera stood and walked closer. "You rebuilt it from junk. I built an orbital relay out of a coffee grinder once. This was easier." She smiled softly, but there was weight behind her eyes. Something still hidden. Samuel handed her the beacon. "Use this when you reach the relay tower. It'll bypass any shield code if they're using my old structure." Vera took it carefully. "You're more than just a builder, Samuel." He wiped grease off his fingers. "I'm a mistake with bones." Silence followed. Then Vera spoke again, slower this time. "There's something I didn't tell you. About the gate." Samuel raised an eyebrow. "Go on." She sat down beside him. "When the original stargates were built, some of your team believed in something beyond travel. They believed in creating a link between organic life and energy pathways." "I remember," Samuel said. "The living bridge theory. It was banned." "They didn't ban it fast enough," Vera whispered. She rolled up her sleeve, revealing a glowing circuit running just under her skin. "Not metal, not entirely natural either. Your team tested the theory on my people." Samuel's heart sank. "You were the bridge." "Yes. My body can power the core of a gate. That's why they want me. Not because I'm a survivor, but because I'm a key." Samuel stood up, turning away. "Damn them." Vera placed a hand on his back. "I'm not here for revenge. I'm here because I want to break the lock they made." She paused. "And I can't do it alone." He turned back to her. His eyes were older than they were yesterday. "You're sure they'll come for you?" "They already are." At that moment, the beacon on the bench lit up. Soft pulses, blue and steady. Vera's eyes narrowed. "That's a trace. Someone's scanning the outer edge of this zone," Samuel said. He tapped a few keys. "Encrypted signal, not military, private hunters." "They found me," Vera whispered. Samuel moved fast. For an old man, his body remembered panic well. He grabbed the beacon, tossed her a small EMP mine from a drawer, and pulled open the back hatch of the shack. "There's a storm tunnel behind the ridge. Leads to an abandoned power substation." "You're not coming?" He paused, then grunted. "Don't be stupid. Don't be." They stepped into the cold night together. Vera in her cloak, Samuel in his old coat patched 3 times and still missing a sleeve. The stars above were clear for the first time in days, but they didn't look up. Instead, Samuel held the beacon, tightly in his palm. Its shape was familiar. Its code was his. His fingerprints were still inside the machine that might destroy her world. But now, he could rewrite it. He looked at Vera, walking ahead of him with quiet strength. She didn't hate him. She had come to him not for vengeance, but for hope. His hands weren't as young, but they still knew what they were made for. To fix, to build, to protect. He looked down at his dirty fingers and whispered, "Let's see what these hands can still do." The desert stretched like a broken sea, dry, wide, and filled with old bones of machines long forgotten. Samuel Grant had walked this path once, decades ago, as a young man with ideas too dangerous for peace. Now he walked it again, older, slower, but with a purpose far stronger. Beside him walked Vera Lynn, her long cloak wrapped tight against the biting wind, her face calm, but alert. They reached the edge of a cracked ridge where the old substation lay. It was buried halfway in sand, Its antenna snapped in half, walls covered in rust and ash. The Earth Alliance had abandoned it 20 years ago. Samuel grunted. Still ugly, but it might still work. Vera nodded. Ugly can still save lives. Inside, the place smelled of heat and dust, dead batteries, broken lights. But Samuel moved, like he knew every wire. "Give me 20 minutes," he said. "If the core's still warm, I can tap into a passive relay, maybe even reach the orbital bands." Vera looked around the ruin. She didn't sit. She watched the shadows and felt the air shift. 15 minutes later, the power core hummed softly. Samuel smiled. She's still breathing, but the smile didn't last. Vera turned sharply. Drone. West side. Low. Fast. Samuel swore. "Take cover." A black hunter drone zipped over the ridge. It was sleek, silent, marked with red slashes and flashing green eyes. Private tech. Not military. Not legal. Bounty hunters. The drone scanned the ruins, then fired. A blast hit the outer wall, shaking the entire station. Dust rained from the ceiling. Samuel grabbed Vera and pulled her behind an old generator block. "Now what?" she asked. He pointed to the beacon still pulsing in his hand. "We finished the upload. If we don't reach Earth Command, your people are done." Vera nodded. "I'll distract it, you upload." Samuel grabbed her wrist. "No, you're the target. Let me." "You're the code," she said firmly. "I'm the reason they're here. Let me be the shadow. You be the light." Before he could argue, she was gone, out the side hatch and into the storm. The drone turned instantly, following her movement. Vera ran fast, kicking up dust, her glowing markings flashing like stars in the dirt. The drone chased, fired, missed, again, missed. She ducked behind a wrecked hoverbike and threw a shock crystal, blinding the drone just long enough to reposition. Inside, Samuel connected the beacon to the last active relay node. He typed quickly, sweat running down his face. "Engage override. Code Grant Level 9, a red light blinked. Signal found, uplink active." He smiled, until he heard the roof above collapse. Another drone, this one bigger, crashed through the ceiling. It hovered above him, charging a beam. Samuel stood slowly. "I'm not armed," he said. The drone beeped. A voice crackled from it. "Give up the beacon, old man." Samuel looked at the tiny device in his hand and smiled. "You mean this one?" He threw it into the generator. It sparked, flared, then connected. The signal shot up into the sky like lightning. Outside, Vera saw it, a red beam piercing the clouds. She smiled, and then screamed as a shot grazed her shoulder. She fell to one knee. The first drone closed in, but before it could finish, Samuel came charging from the station, holding a rail welder like a weapon. He slammed it into the drone's sensor, frying its circuits. It dropped. Dead. He ran to Vera. "You okay?" She clutched her arm. "I've had worse." They leaned against each other, breathing hard. Then they looked up. The beacon light was still climbing, and they knew. Someone up there had seen them. That night they made camp in the ruins. Samuel wrapped Vera's shoulder. She watched him in silence, then asked, "Why did you come after me? You could have escaped." He didn't answer right away. Then he said, "Because I've been running all my life. From what I built. From who I used to be." He tied the last bandage carefully, but not anymore. Vera reached into her cloak and pulled out a small round object, a memory crystal. She placed it in his hand. "It's from Mira 4, before the gate exploded. I thought you might want to see what your invention did, and didn't do." Samuel held the crystal tight. He didn't cry, but his shoulders sank. "I'll watch it." "Not tonight," she said. "No," he agreed. "Tonight, we rest." Above them, the sky was full of stars. But for the first time in years, one old man and one hunted alien woman didn't feel small beneath them. They felt like they were finally standing tall. The sun rose over the old substation like a dying lamp, flickering, weak, but it was enough. Enough to show that Samuel and Vera had survived the night. Vera sat with her arm in a sling, watching as Samuel adjusted the last wire on the portable terminal they'd pulled from the ruins. The memory crystal she had given him sat beside the keyboard untouched. He hadn't watched it yet. He wasn't ready. "You don't have to fix everything, you know," she said quietly. Samuel didn't look up. Maybe not. But some things still answer to me. Some things still remember I was their maker. Vera tilted her head. "Machines don't care about the past." Samuel smiled faintly. "You'd be surprised." He pressed the power core. The screen blinked, once, then twice. Then the terminal came alive. Lines of data crawled across the display, old Earth code long out of use. And then a robotic voice spoke, broken but clear. "Welcome back, Engineer Samuel Grant." Vera's eyes widened. "You programmed it to remember you?" Samuel shook his head slowly. "No, this unit wasn't mine. It's one of the gate interface testers. I never worked directly with it." He leaned closer. "But it knows me." The screen flickered again and a 3D model of a Stargate appeared. Vera stood up slowly. "That's the one near my planet." "The Scargate." Samuel's brow furrowed. "They used the old ring structure." He tapped a few keys. The machine responded instantly, like it had waited years for him. "Gate 917 Beta. Status, armed. Planetary energy siphon. Preparing for activation. Estimated detonation range, 91% of planetary mass." Vera gripped the side of the table. "They're turning my planet into fuel." Samuel nodded grimly. "And they're using your body's code to activate the sequence." He tapped again, then paused. The screen shifted. A file loaded, titled, "Grant Lock 7X." Samuel's eyes went wide. "This is my personal override key." "You created a lock?" He nodded slowly. "A back door, in case things went wrong." Vera looked hopeful. "Can we stop the gate?" "Maybe," he said. "But it's not just code. It's tied to my neural signature. I'd have to plug directly into the system core." He looked at the map again. "The closest interface core is at Site 4, deep inside the canyon ruins. Not far. But we'll be seen if we go during daylight." Vera spoke firmly. "Then we move at night." As they gathered their gear, Samuel finally picked up the memory crystal. "I should see it." Vera watched him, silent. He placed it into the reader. The screen changed. A recording played. A woman's voice spoke. Soft. Kind. "Samuel, if you're hearing this, it means you're alive, or someone found this crystal. Either way, you were wrong." Samuel froze. It was his wife's voice. Long dead. Vera turned away, giving him space. "You blamed yourself for Mira 4, but you don't know the whole story. After the gate collapsed, we found survivors. People pulled from the edge. Your failsafes worked, more than you ever knew. I kept this for you, so that one day if you ever forgave yourself, you'd see the truth. You weren't the cause, Sam. You were the only reason some of us lived." Samuel sat down slowly, his eyes full, his chest shaking. He whispered, "All these years?" Vera placed a hand gently on his shoulder. "You weren't just a builder," she said. "You were a shield." The screen faded. The memory ended. But something had changed in Samuel. Not his age, not his strength, but his will. He stood up, wiped his eyes, and grabbed his toolkit. "I'm done hiding." Vera smiled softly. "Then let's finish this." That night, under the stars, they left the substation. Ahead of them, the canyon, and within it, the interface core, the last machine that could shut down the gate. Samuel looked at the stars once more. For the first time, they didn't look so far. The canyon was silent. Too silent. Samuel Grant crouched low behind a cluster of dead rocks, his eyes locked on the structure ahead. It rose from the canyon floor like a sleeping god, Tall, black, humming faintly with old power. Site 4 interface core, the only place where the override could be uploaded, and the most dangerous place to enter. Beside him, Vera Lynn scanned the area with her pale blue eyes. She wore a new bandage over her shoulder, still healing from the hunter's attack, but her mind was sharp. "There are sentries," she whispered. "Not many. 2 drones, 1 on foot. Scouting." Samuel adjusted the straps on his tool pack. "Then, we go fast." They waited until the moons passed behind a cloud, then they moved, step by step, dust kicking beneath their boots. The old man and the alien woman running toward a gate that could crack her planet in half. Inside the structure, the air was warm, too warm. Lights blinked on as they stepped through the ancient doors. The machines remembered him. Again, Engineer Grant detected. "Welcome to Interface. Core 04. Vera looked at him. "It still knows you," Samuel muttered. "It always did." He walked to the center of the chamber where a tall steel pod stood, surrounded by glowing wires and thin glass arms. It pulsed with slow blue light. The control cradle. The only way to input the override key was to interface directly with the system. A full neural link, body, memory, mind. Vera placed her hand on the base. "I could try." Samuel shook his head. "No, it's coded to me. Only my brain patterns can trigger the sequence." She hesitated. "You won't survive full connection. These machines are old, unstable." Samuel looked at the machine, then at her. "I've been a shadow long enough." He stepped into the cradle. The arms moved, gently latching to his shoulders, back, and temples. The blue glow turned to green. Neural sync preparing. Memory pathways aligning. Warning. Biological age exceeds safe parameters. Samuel laughed. "Tell me something I don't know." Vera stood at the console, fingers ready. "Just tell me when." He closed his eyes. "Now." The room changed. In Samuel's mind, light exploded. He was no longer inside the chamber. He was inside the gate system. He saw wires stretching into stars, tunnels filled with power, ghosts of energy from the last 30 years, and somewhere, far away, he felt Vera's planet screaming. The machine spoke inside his head. "Enter override code." He focused, spoke inside his mind. "Grant lock 00X, key phrase, do no harm." Confirmed. Final confirmation required. Warning, neural strain will exceed threshold. Proceed. Samuel remembered Mira 4, his wife's voice. The innocent. Live saved. Then, Vera's face, tired, brave, hoping. He clenched his fists. Proceed. In the real world, Vera watched the pod spark. Samuel's body shook. Blood ran from his nose. She screamed, "Hold on!" But he didn't hear her. He was too far inside. Inside the gate's mind, doors slammed shut, circuits rerouted, power drains stopped. The siphon near Vera's world froze in mid-cycle. And then, it blinked red. Deactivated. The system shook. All across the galaxy, the signal went out. Gate 917 Beta, shutdown complete. Samuel gasped, his hands loosened, and then, silence. Vera ran to the pod, heart pounding. The glass arms unlatched. Samuel fell forward. She caught him. His skin was cold. His chest still. "No. No, don't you dare," she whispered. Tears ran down her cheeks. She placed her forehead to his. "You don't get to disappear now. Not after saving me." Then, a shallow breath. One. Then another. Samuel's eyes opened slowly. He smiled. "I told you," he whispered. "I still had one good job left in me." Vera laughed and cried at the same time. She held him tight. Behind them, the machine shut itself down completely. No more power. No more control. Just peace. Outside, the stars above Vera's homeworld glowed brighter. A world spared, because one old man said yes. The stars were clearer now. Above the canyon, above the ruins, above the machine that had finally gone quiet, the sky stretched wide and soft like a clean slate. For the first time in many years, it felt like the galaxy had stopped holding its breath. Samuel Grant sat under a silver tarp, leaning back against a stone wall wrapped in a thermal blanket. His hands were shaking slightly. Not from fear, not from pain, from peace. Across from him sat Vera Lynn, her knees pulled to her chest, arms wrapped around them. She didn't say anything yet. Neither did he. Sometimes silence is better than words, especially after you've shut down a star, gate that could have torn a planet apart. She finally spoke. "You almost died." Samuel gave a tired smile. Almost is a beautiful word. They had stayed behind for 2 days, resting, healing, watching for any signs of retaliation. But none came. The bounty hunters had left. The drones had gone silent, and above them, Vera's planet no longer pulsed with danger. The gate was dead, and the people of her world were alive. "Did you mean what you said?" she asked him quietly. Samuel turned to her. "What part?" "That you were done hiding." He nodded. "I'm not proud of what I helped build, but I'm proud of what I just helped stop." She stood, brushing dust from her coat. "I sent the message to my people. They're sending a ship." He raised an eyebrow. "To rescue us?" "To meet you," she replied. "They want to thank the human who saved their world." Samuel leaned back. "I'm not good with speeches." "Then don't give one. Just be there." When the ship came, it was quiet. No military flags, no weapons drawn. Just a sleek silver vessel, soft lights, and open doors. A group of her kind stepped out, tall, elegant beings with glowing lines on their skin and cautious eyes. They didn't kneel, they didn't bow, they simply nodded in respect. One of them, older, stepped forward. "You are Samuel Grant?" he asked. Samuel coughed once. "Still am, barely." The alien smiled. "Your name will be remembered." Samuel shrugged. "Just don't put it on a statue. My back already hurts from carrying regrets." The leader turned to Vera. "You are, well," she nodded. "Better than I've been in years." She glanced at Samuel. "Because of him." Later that night, after the others had gone back to the ship, Vera and Samuel stood at the canyon's edge, watching the last rays of light disappear. "You could come with us," she said. Samuel looked at her, surprised. "Really?" She nodded. "We could use a mind like yours. Peace doesn't just build itself." He laughed. "I haven't left this planet in decades." She smiled. "Then it's time." They stood side by side. Old engineer, hunted hybrid, two souls who had nothing left until they found each other. Samuel finally said, "All right. You'll come?" He nodded. "But only if I get my own corner of the ship." I snore. Vera chuckled. "Deal." They boarded the ship together. Samuel didn't look back. There was nothing left behind that he hadn't already made peace with. As the ship lifted into the stars, Vera looked at him. "What will you do when we land?" He thought for a moment. "Teach, build, maybe plant something." "Something small?" He smiled. "Small things grow too." She leaned against the window, watching the stars pass by. "We've both seen the worst in people," she said. "But maybe we can help build the best of them now." Samuel nodded. "I think we already started." He was just an old man. She was just a survivor. But together they shut down a weapon and opened a door to a future neither of them believed in anymore. One where trust could grow, one where peace had a chance, and one where the sky no longer held only fear, but hope.